Nyuh Kuning Village was the starting point of the fourth day of the 17th International Conference of National Trust. Nyuh Kuning is one of the villages in Ubud area where you can see the real life of Bali still exists and integrate with tourism activities in harmony. The traditions and indigenous cultures are still very well preserved in this village. In sunny morning, the delegates did heritage walk around the Nyuh Kuning Village. The delegates had the opportunity to see waroengs, typical Balinese small shops, the temples or Pura, and the daily life of the villagers. Following the heritage walk, workshop on climate change held in Wana Ubud Resort.
I said, how can I go? My people are buried here.
Now people would prefer to migrate together because there is that safety in this. But at the same time, we have to accept that in order to adapt to the new environment, the new communities, we've got to be part of that community. We've got to be able to learn to assimilate the new.
The workshop consists of speakers from champions of climate change around the world, Australia, Caymand Islands, United Kingdom, Fiji, and as well Indonesia. Director General of the Conservation of Natural Resources and Ecosystem from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Wiratno, said that Indonesia has many challenges for climate change issues, mainly collaborating with local authorities.
So far, we have proven that in many cases, working with the local community is one of the effective way to save the forest and the marine, because they have the traditional practice, traditional wisdom, and they are the group that will be directly affected by climate change. It is real. Even right now, if there is a problem of landslide, flooding, or earthquakes, they are the group of people that directly affected of that problem. So our national strategy, besides working with our private sector and the international funding organization, we also work with the local community.
Meanwhile, the chairman of Board of Trustees of Indonesia Heritage Trust, Mr. Hashim Joyhadikusumo, said we have to push COP23 to anticipate more of climate change to save heritage.
From our experience in Indonesia is what we call the Heritage Emergency Response. I think some of you already know that. I think Catherine, in fact, at Clarence House, we talked about it to Prince Charles, didn't we? It's something that we at BPPI have been doing with some success, modest success, because we are extremely limited in funding. But if this is something that we can apply worldwide and propose to COP23, that in fact let's anticipate more and more disasters and damage to, I don't know what sort of heritage, but I'm sure some heritage sites have been damaged in the Caribbean. I think, Justin, you'll probably be finding out soon.
Besides workshop on climate change, there was also individual presentation on the theme towards environmental sustainability, people and environment in harmony. Part of the delegates gathered on the rooftop of Wana Ubud Resort for an intimate session. Individual presentations were delivered, presenting case studies from all over the world that not only address challenges but also showcase best practices for maintaining and stimulating harmonious relationships between people and the environment in different cultural settings. John de Koning and Emily Drani spoke to the delegates about the need to take into account the cultural rights of ethnic minorities in conservation efforts, as demonstrated by the Batwa people in Africa who were driven from their forests after those who was designated as a national park. Interesting presentations were furthermore delivered by Andita Septiandini. We learned about the importance for holistic approach in our quest for environmental sustainability, like the successful conservation efforts of Sumatran tigers. After lunch, the event continued at Gianyar Botanical Park. At this 18-hectare park, delegates can find tropical epidemic plants of heritage trees in the age of more than 100 years. Vice-Regent of Gianyar, Imade Mahayastra, together with the Chairman of Board of Trustees, Indonesian Heritage Trust, Hashim Jihadi Kusumo, planted mangosteen tree together. Meanwhile, the other 5 mangosteen trees planted by representatives from 5 continents: Asia, America, Africa, Australia, and Europe. Delegates also released 300 local birds to their habitat. They consisted of bechica, kacamata, gelatik, kutilang, pencit, cerucuk, and many others. After trees planting and birds releasing, the delegates gathered to discuss within each of continents group. They shared their challenges and success stories, as well as their inputs for the Declaration of Gianyar. The interesting suggestion is to use social media more to invite young people to participate in preserving heritage.
Our youngest delegate in this conference, he suggested that we more actively use social media, and we can even have a Into Youth page for especially the younger generations. And it is also suggested that we do more sharing, especially for like training opportunities or news in different disciplines or different areas, so that we can engage more young people.
Meanwhile, the representative from Caribbean said working with local government is important to preserve the heritage.
We have expressed our support and encouragement to St. Lucia with their continuing issues with the local government there, as the National Trust is pushing very hard to preserve the gains and successes that they have so far and not have them swept underneath the carpet. in the push for development. We also expressed our support to those small island states and the United States heavily impacted by the passage of the recent hurricanes in the region, for them to get along once they get through the pressing needs of housing, food and water, to undertake swiftly a survey of the damage to cultural and heritage assets within the islands, so that they don't get bulldozed in the push for redevelopment.
After each continent, representatives submitted the suggestions and inputs. All the suggestions will be formulated to enrich the Gianyar Declaration. The final result of the Gianyar Declarations will be read out at the ICNT closing ceremony.